and welcome back to another family reaction video. Today we're going to be checking out a pretty cool one from the same channel that we watched, How the US President Travels.
Yes.
So you guys remember that one?
Love that one.
That was from the channel called Neo, so we love his stuff.
Yeah.
He makes some really cool stuff. Like, I love it how it's all like, it really feels like a documentary.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
His production value is like top notch.
Yeah.
So very fascinating stuff. So anyway, so this today is a bit of a follow-up from the time that we reacted to, and I think it was just you and I, when we reacted to the night Osama bin Laden was killed.
Yes,
at the baseball game when it was announced and everything.
Yes.
So yeah, tonight is a follow-up from that, and it's called How the CIA Found Osama bin Laden. So
wait, who is Osama bin Laden?
Oh right, okay. So do you guys remember when we were reacting to videos in the room upstairs?
Yeah.
We reacted to the 9/11 video.
Yeah.
You know, about the towers coming down and everything. So Osama bin Laden is the one who is allegedly behind the attacks. So who orchestrated the attacks and everything with his, you know, his soldiers and stuff like that.
The attacks on New York City or on America.
Yeah, the CIA went and America basically just went on a hunt for him to try and track him down.
Yeah.
And make him pay for what he did.
Yeah.
So today we're going to find out how that happened.
Okay.
Okay.
Just 4 days before the 2004 US presidential election, a newly published tape appears on the news. The election between George Bush and John Kerry was dominated by foreign policy decisions in the wake of the September 11 attacks.
Al-Qaeda's key members and associates have been brought
to destroy, capture, kill Osama bin Laden and all of the terrorists.
This tape, published by Al Jazeera, now shows a recovered Osama bin Laden, claiming responsibility for the attacks much more directly than before. The staging of this recording, in which bin Laden tries to appear as some legitimate figure, directly addressing the nation that he attacked, is a painful reminder that the most wanted man on the planet must be feeling somewhat safe wherever he may be.
Wow.
Wow.
He talked directly to America after the attack.
Wow.
At the very same time, at the CIA headquarters in Virginia, where a special unit was tasked with finding bin Laden, pretty much every lead had gone cold at this point. A situation that was even more frustrating considering that almost 3 years ago, they believed they were close to catching him. By the end of the 2001 US invasion of Afghanistan, Al-Qaeda fighters had been pushed into the eastern part of the country. Here, they barricaded themselves in the caves of Tora Bora, and American intelligence agencies suspected bin Laden to be amongst them.
I remember that.
Supported by the Americans, local Afghan tribes fought through the terrain, and heavy airstrikes were carried out. But by the time the battle was won, bin Laden had already fled. After the fighting ended, only about 20 people were arrested, and the CIA was left empty-handed, having missed what may have been a unique opportunity to capture Al-Qaeda's leader. But at least one of the people arrested here would eventually open a lead for investigators to follow. Prior to his capture, Mohammed al-Qahtani was unknown to the investigators. He himself denied any connection to Al-Qaeda and said that he was in Afghanistan to pursue his interest in falconry. But when investigators took his fingerprints, they found a match in their system. They found out that just a few weeks before the September 11 attacks, he had tried to enter the United States. Carrying $2,800 in cash with him and traveling on a one-way ticket, the customs agent became suspicious of Qahtani and denied him entry to the country, fearing he might be trying to illegally immigrate. The investigators also knew that on the very same day, a call was placed from Orlando Airport to an Al-Qaeda telephone number in the United Arab Emirates. This number had been monitored, and the fact that Qahtani was at the airport at the same time made investigators scramble to establish some sort of connection between these events. FBI agents worked their way through piles of airport surveillance footage looking for more leads, and eventually they were successful. They were able to identify a car that was at the time rented by Mohammed Atta. Atta was the ringleader of the September 11 attacks and piloted American Airlines Flight 11 that struck the North Tower of the World Trade Center. It was concluded that Atta was waiting at the airport to pick up Katani. It is widely believed that Katani was intended as one of the hijackers of United Airlines Flight 93, which is the flight that failed to reach the attacker's intended destination because it crashed in Pennsylvania while the passengers were attempting to regain control. With that knowledge, Katani was interrogated, and he was one of several Al-Qaeda captives that in the coming months and years made it possible for investigators to get a better picture of the group's inner workings. Abu Zubaydah, a logistician for the group, was arrested in March 2002 and offered the CIA information that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, who was Al-Qaeda's operational commander, had planned the attacks on America. 1 year later, he also was arrested. And Katani revealed that in July 2001, in preparation for the attacks, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed introduced him to a person previously unknown to the CIA, Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti, who trained Katani in operational security. All this helped investigators to understand Al-Qaeda's structure better, with less trained operatives, a command and planning layer, and bin Laden as the leader. But they were still clueless as to bin Laden's whereabouts. The CIA was mapping relationships to understand who was in close contact with him and how he communicated from his hiding place. The private network of bin Laden, his family members, were also looked at. However, there was no contact between bin Laden and those family members of him that could be located. What the CIA knew was that bin Laden continued to send messages though. In the following years, new audio tapes appeared, and it was known that he was communicating with members of leadership within Al-Qaeda. The strategy of the CIA, therefore, was to look for the courier network, people that transport information.
War with Iran.
I'm running for governor.
Explode in the sky.
Our congratulations on an historic victory.
In mid-January 2004, Kurdish security forces arrested a man named Hassan Gul. He was carrying a letter that was addressed to bin Laden. Gul was handed over to the Americans, who interrogated him and received crucial information indicating that a key person to finding bin Laden had already been on the agency's radar. Hassan Gul claimed that it is Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti who operates as bin Laden's personal courier. As the focus of the investigation shifts to Kuwaiti, investigators receive conflicting information about his role within Al-Qaeda. While Hassan Gul describes a larger role and that Kuwaiti was familiar with both Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and with his successor Abu Faraj al-Libi, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, on the other hand, denies a major role of Kuwaiti and claims that this person has long since retired and is inactive. In May 2005, Abu Faraj al-Libi himself was also arrested in Pakistan, and he too vehemently denied a larger role of Kuwaiti. Investigators were also questioning a guy that goes by the name of Hambali, the former leader of Al-Qaeda's Southeast Asian affiliate group. He claimed that Kuwaiti did play a role, as he was the one managing a safe house in Karachi around the time the Taliban fled from Afghanistan.
A massive network.
If anything, the many contradicting statements about the role of Kuwaiti made him all the more interesting. The problem was that other than his name, not much was known about him. And even the name itself is not uniquely identifiable, as it is not his real name, but an alias that translates as the father of Ahmed from Kuwait. While some important information was obtained through the interrogation of prisoners, the techniques used were highly controversial. Many of the prisoners were subjected to so-called enhanced interrogation techniques. That means abusive treatment including torture, such as in the form of waterboarding. A 2014 Senate Intelligence Committee report examining the individual interrogations concluded that these techniques were ineffective and did not help to obtain information about bin Laden. Apart from that, there is the question of whether the display of the CIA's actions, seemingly freed from the rule of law, doesn't itself damage the national security of the country. It is a discourse that's bigger than the...
So, were these prisoners being held in the United States?
So Guantanamo Bay, I can't remember where it is. It's on some island that's on like off the coast of somewhere. I think it might be down by Cuba or something. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, apparently it's like the whole island is basically this place where the CIA owns like a prison, and they take like all of their highest, targets, the most wanted people there, and they do all like basically whatever they want with them.
So did they arrest or take these people from Afghanistan, or did they did they find them in the United States, like that guy?
It's probably a mixture of a whole bunch of different things. I think they found them in like Middle East, Southeast Asia, like they said, like Pakistan. And then they just take them there.
So they tracked them all down and then took them back.
Well, one of them, they said that he was arrested and then handed over to the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right. He was arrested in Pakistan and then handed to the United States because I think they found intelligence that they needed to know.
So was Pakistan working with the United States to try and help?
Well, I think their government does work with them. Oh. Same as we saw in the other video about the Indian military and stuff work closely with the United States military. So I think if they capture anyone like that could be of really big interest.
Suspicious, yeah.
Yeah, then Guantanamo Bay is, but then there's a whole thing around Guantanamo Bay is that they think it's really inhumane. So even if you're got some of the world's worst people there being interrogated, people still think that it's it's still breaching the Geneva Convention and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
scope of this video. But with investigators stuck yet again, the next pieces of information will not come from their own work.
What's that house?
The White House.
Peace and stability.
Blockbuster Total Access Netflix.
So I'm guessing this is going through pop culture at the time.
The latest cyber drug of choice is called Twitter. A war that should have never been waged. It's iPhone.
Oh, Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Wow.
In 2007, the CIA received the information they're looking for, the true identity of the Kuwaiti. It does not come from their own research, but from a foreign intelligence service, which is not known. The information reveals the true name of the Kuwaiti to be Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed, a Pakistani whose family had only moved to Kuwait.
Wow.
But while they have waited 2 years to get the name, it will take further years until they are able to locate him.
President-elect for victory.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. The year you were born.
I'll let you finish. Michael Jackson has
I
died.
don't know.
I thought that showed 2007.
I remember that.
This
Yeah.
guy is great. As good as we've seen.
In June 2010, the Kuwaiti and his brother changed the way to communicate with their cell phones, a fact that made it possible to determine the geolocation of the calls placed. The NSA had received telephone numbers suspected of being connected to Kuwaiti from a third country, which were now intercepted. Amidst the countless conversations monitored, one man stood out because he fit the profile of Kuwaiti. He spoke a mix of Arabic and Pashto, the language spoken in northwestern Pakistan, and in a conversation with a friend in the Persian Gulf, the man dodged the question of his whereabouts, cryptically replying that he is with the people he was with before. In addition, the investigators recognized that this individual goes to great lengths to prevent being tracked. His cell phone was switched off for most of the time, and it seems that he only put the battery in it when he was in the area around the city of Peshawar. As it became increasingly certain that this is Kuwaiti, efforts began to follow him on the ground. In August 2010, a Pakistani CIA agent managed to identify him in his car in Peshawar. From there, he was secretly followed on his way home. The large house surprised investigators. The agents had assumed that now that Kuwaiti had been identified, they would be monitoring him until he approached bin Laden's hideout. But when you look at the massive compound in which Kuwaiti lives, investigators thought that they might already be there. That Kuwaiti may be living under the same roof as bin Laden. Even though Washington wasn't entirely sure about it at the time, bin Laden was located, and a manhunt that has had top priority since the September 11 attacks comes to its final stage. The task now was no longer with the intelligence agents, but with a team of special units who knew very little about what to expect when raiding this compound. On May 1st, 2011, at 11 p.m. local time, 2 Black Hawk helicopters, equipped with secret stealth technology, take off from Jalalabad airfield and head towards bin Laden's compound. The mission is complicated by the fact that the United States government had decided not to inform Pakistan of the operation, which means the Navy SEALs had to avoid getting noticed, which seems especially challenging considering that bin Laden's complex is located right next to a Pakistani military academy.
Wow.
The story of how this raid unfolded is truly fascinating, which is why I have produced another full-length video about this operation, creating detailed models of the mission's plan and mapping out how it played out during that night. But unfortunately, due to the violent nature of this topic, if I uploaded this video to YouTube, it would certainly get demonetized and age-restricted.
Okay. Wow, that was crazy.
Oh, that was crazy.
Denzi, I want to get Nebula.
Yeah.
That looks like some really good stuff on there.
It does, yeah.
But that was super interesting. So that really followed the investigation. I can't believe that it took them 10 years.
I forgot how long it took them.
10 years.
I didn't realise it was so long.
Yeah.
And obviously, as technology advanced over that time, like the tracking of cell phones and stuff, I was still actually quite shocked they were able to track that guy at the airport even back then.
Yeah.
So there must have been fingerprinting at the airport before that.
Each
Time, because every time we go to the States, we're fingerprinted.
Yeah.
I thought that came in after 2000.
I think it was for people that weren't US citizens and and maybe who didn't have a return ticket or something like that.
Yeah,
Because now you can't even enter without one.
No, you can't. We just learnt that.
Yeah.
Or maybe they now do it to everybody that comes in, but since he was flagged by them, they took his fingerprint.
Yeah, true.
Maybe coming in from certain countries.
True.
So maybe they were like, you're suspicious.
Yeah, and now it's just everyone.
Yeah.
You're all suspicious.
Yeah, but what a massive network, eh?
Huge network. And actually, it shocks me it took them so long. Because, the intelligence with the United States is like world class.
Yeah.
It just must have been because it's not in their own country. They don't have access to, so much of the surveillance that happens in other countries. Do you know what's funny about this whole, going back to learning about this is that I was so young when it happened. I guess I was the age that I didn't study things as they were happening. And it's like now we've reached the stage of life where we're interested in all the finer details. It's almost like learning about it for the first time again.
Yeah, things that have happened a long time ago.
Whereas I feel like if I was in my 20s or 30s when it happened, I would already know all of this. Yeah. As it was happening.
I know.
But we were just that much younger that we weren't following it. Even in that 10 years. I mean, I know I gave birth to Atlanta in 2009.
Yeah.
So again, we got the next generation. I still hadn't really studied it.
Yeah.
And obviously being down here, we're not kind of closely linked with it.
But now thanks to people like Neo who make these incredible documentaries, we can sit back and
crazy that our kids didn't really know who Osama bin Laden was, and they're definitely learning about things for the first time now.
Yeah.
Well, I had heard the name, I just didn't.
Yeah,
didn't know
the finer details. Obviously, I remember the first time we showed them about 9/11.
Yeah.
Was that a reaction on our channel?
Yeah, it was upstairs. Remember the boat lift story?
Yes.
About all the boats that came in and helped everybody?
Yeah. So that was the first time you guys really learnt about what happened on 9/11.
Yeah.
If you guys want to go and see that, go back and find our boat lift reaction, because that's literally our kids learning about it for the first time.
Yep.
Well, I knew what happened. But like I hadn't known the
didn't know
full
about it.
story
Yeah.
of like the boat lift and everything.
Yeah.
I'd heard about it.
And if you enjoyed that one, make sure you guys smash the like button. Let us know if there's any other little documentaries or anything that we should watch, especially maybe on this topic.
Yeah.
Since we're already on it. And yeah, we love you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.